2025 is fastly approaching, and I don't know about you, but there's something about this upcoming year that feels a little different. I mean, I know what it is because I've looked at the astrology, but the astrology for 2025 is a completely different video. For me, 2025 is a year where I want to be really intentional. As a matter of fact, my word for 2025 is intentional. So, in an effort to live up to my word, I am helping you prepare for 2025 in the best way that I know how, using astrology and numerology, so that we can all be intentional and try to make this next fiscal year the best year possible. So, what I'm going to do is that I am going to give you 3 videos on 3 of the things or techniques or whatever you want to call them that I personally use to get intentional about my life. I find that these 3 things are absolutely amazing. They're not that complicated, and they're really easy to implement into your daily routine and your daily life. All right. So, 2 of these things you can do absolutely on your own. One of them you're going to need a little help, and thankfully for you, I know someone that can help you. So, get comfy, get a snack, get a pen and paper or your favorite digital device to take notes, because we are getting intentional about planning our lives. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, welcome to part 1 of my 3-part series about preparing for 2025. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite astrological techniques that helps me understand what my year and even my month is going to look and feel like. And that technique is known as profections. So, in this video, I'm going to try my best to keep it short, sweet, and concise. I will explain what profections are, the important components of profections that you will need to know in order to be intentional with your planning, and how to use profections to actually plan out the year ahead. So, if you are interested in these things, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. All right. So, what exactly are profections? So, essentially, profections are a Hellenistic timing technique, which basically lets you know which house in your natal chart is going to be activated at that particular time or during that time period. So there's different types of astrology. I practice Western Hellenistic astrology. And so profections essentially lets you know, like I said, what house is going to be emphasized for that period of time. Now, there are 2 types of profections that I use in my planning and in my daily life. One is annual profections and one is monthly profections. So it allows me to see the year at a glance and the month at a glance. And this is super important for one very important reason. You know how when January comes around and everyone's like, new year, new me, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start my business. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, which is all well and good. However, the one thing that astrology teaches us is that there is a divine timing at work. And if you look back to some of your past years, you'll probably see this. Some years have been builder years, right? Where you're really active, you're building something. Maybe you're starting college, or maybe you just got married. Like, it's a year that's full of activity and it's a year of starting things. And then there are some years that are rest years, or years when things end, or years when things are in the middle. To know what kind of year you're having, you can definitely use profections. And then, even on a deeper level, you can use monthly profections to see what kind of month you're going to have within the theme of that year. All right. So, let's talk about the important components of profections that you will need to know in order to use them. All right. So, we all know that astrology can be hella confusing, right? There's so many moving parts, so many things to learn. I mean, it is a science after all. However, what I love about profections is that it's very simple. There's not much that you need to know, but there are a few things that you need to have. So, first, you're going to need a profections chart. All right. And you can see it on the screen right now. This is what it looks like. Now, if you're interested in getting this chart, I will have the information for that in the description box below and pinned to this video, pinned to the comments. So you'll be able to get it, no problem. The second thing you'll need is your natal chart. Now, depending on how astrology savvy you are, what you need is your whole sign natal chart, which means that all of the signs in your house are broken up into equal parts or whole signs. And again, I will leave the instructions for all of that in the description box below. All right. So you need the profections chart, your natal chart with whole sign houses. And the last thing you need is your age. You need to know how old you are. Those are the three things that you need in order to work with profections. All right. So let's talk about how this chart works and what it all means. So essentially, every house in the astrological wheel corresponds to a certain age. So if you look at the chart, when you are age 30, you are having what's known as a seventh house profection year, meaning that the issues, the concerns, all of the things that have to do with the seventh house are emphasized between age 30 and age 31. So that lets you know that at that time, you probably have marriage on the brain, or maybe you're meeting someone who will become your spouse. Or maybe you are forming a business partnership with someone, or a business partnership is in question. Those are kind of the things that could happen during a seventh house profection year. Now, the one thing that I need to explain is that annual profections go from birthday to birthday. So, unless your birthday is in January, you might need to look at two different profection houses to get a total picture of 2025. So, let me give you an example, a personal example. My birthday is in September. So, I would look at the profection year for the age I just turned in September. And that would cover me from September of 2024 to September of 2025. And then come September 25 until December of 2025, I would look to the next profection house. Okay. So it runs birthday to birthday. So again, you might have to look at two different houses to see exactly what the theme of the year will be for you. So it could be relationships and intimacy, or it could be self and money, right? Either way, what I love about this with annual perfections is that it tells you this is the kind of year that you're having. This is the focus of this year, right? So again, you would look to your current age, look to the house that corresponds to that age, and that will let you know what that year will look like from birthday to birthday. Okay, that's annual perfections. Simple, right? Then we could take it even further and do monthly profections. And it works in the same way. It'll give you the theme for that particular month. Now, how you figure out monthly profections is the same way that you start with annual. So you would look at your current age and the month that you turned that age. So to use me as an example, my birthday is in September. So let's say I turned 30 in September, which I could look 30, but I'm a lot older than that. So let's say I turned 30 in September. So the month of September would be a seventh house profection month. Then in October, it would be an eighth house profection month. Then in November, it would be a ninth house profection month. So basically, you start at your current birthday, current age, right? And the month that you turned that age, that would be month number 1. And then you just go around the chart to each month and for each house. And that lets you know which house will be emphasized for that month. I sincerely hope that this is making sense because it's a very simplistic timing technique that you could just really reference like for the year and then for the month so that you know exactly what to expect. So again, I'm having a seventh house perfection year, which starts in September. Now, September would be a seventh house profection month because that's when I turn 30. So let's say in September, I'm really focusing on my partner if I am coupled, or maybe I'm really focusing on being in a relationship, or maybe even getting out of a relationship. Then in October, I am experiencing an eighth house perfection month, which means that now the emphasis, the energy for that month is going to be eighth house matters, which are intimacy and shared resources. So now let's say during September, I got booed up. Then in October, we're consummating the relationship. Spicy, right? Then we move on to November, which will be a ninth house perfection month. And then in November, I'm dealing with ninth house issues. So you see how you can see at a glance really quickly what each month is going to look like and how that corresponds to the year. Even though you're breaking it down by month, that theme also works in conjunction with the theme of the year. So if I'm having a seventh house profection year, it means that each month, as I go and each house is emphasized, it plays into the theme for the year. So the theme for the year would be marriage, let's say, or partnership. When I'm having, when I reach the month when the fifth house is emphasized, dating and romance will be a theme as it relates to relationships. So I'm either dating new people or I'm focusing on dating my current partner. Then when I have a second house profection month during a seventh house profection year, money as it relates to my partnership will become the theme for that month. So you see how these play together and how you can examine and be intentional about your year. If you know what the theme is for the year and for each month, now you know how to plan. Now you know what's going to be emphasized. Now you know what to expect. And it goes back all to being intentional for 2025. So now let's talk details about how to actually implement this step by step into your daily life. All right. Now, the other important component about perfections that you'll want to pay attention to is what's known as your time lord. You can tell that this is ancient astrology because they call it a time lord. So essentially, you know how I said you're turning 30, you're having a seventh house profection year. So you look at your natal chart and you look to see what is the seventh house. So let's say that your seventh house is Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. So your time lord is the sun. So essentially, over the course of that year, and by year, I mean birthday to birthday, the sun is going to be the most important planet to you. So you're going to want to examine what the sun is doing, what sign it's in. Whatever the sun is doing is going to activate and emphasize that seventh house profection year. Okay, so your time lord becomes really important. And if you are interested in understanding and knowing what the planetary rulers are so that you can understand what your time lord is, I have a cheat sheet that I will leave the link to in the description box below so that you can definitely check it out. And as a further matter, along with this cheat sheet, I have a whole bunch of other free resources, courses, and videos that I will be launching in my brand new free membership. It's getting ready to launch in January. The link to the waitlist will be in the description box below. So sign up now so you will know exactly when this drops. Not only is it absolutely free, you get a lot of resources that you can immediately use to make your life better. All right, so back to Time Lords. So, whatever perfection year you are in, you look to that house in your natal chart, look to see the sign of that house. The ruler of that sign is your time lord, like I said, and that is your planet for the year. Let's say your time lord is Mercury, okay? Whatever Mercury is doing in the sky is going to be of utmost importance to you. So you're going to want to track the transits of Mercury, which is an advanced topic. For right now, I'm keeping this really simple, but you're going to want to note whenever Mercury goes retrograde because it's definitely going to relate back to the theme of your year. So again, let's say you're having a seventh house perfection year. And so the theme for the year for you is relationships. Guess what? If you have Mercury as your time lord, when Mercury goes retrograde, this could be the time when someone from the past comes back around. And maybe there's someone from the past that comes back around could end up being your spouse. I mean, that's very pie in the sky, twin flame bullshit. However, that shows you how time lords work. Whatever your time lord is doing during that period of time is going to be of utmost importance to you, right? And we look at it at the annual level, and we can also look at it at the monthly level. So, if you are in a seventh house perfection month, your time lord for the seventh house would be Mercury. then Mercury would be the utmost, the most important planet for you during that month. Then you look at your eighth house, right? When you're having eighth house perfection month, look to the sign, look to the planetary ruler of that sign, and that lets you know that during that month, that planet is going to be emphasized. And whatever it's doing is going to emphasize the theme for that month as the theme for that month plays into the theme for the year. Hopefully, this didn't go over your head and it makes complete sense. All right, now let's get into how to break this down step by step on how to use this and what you can really gain from this information. All right, so let's take this step by step so you know exactly how to use profections in your 2025 planning. So, number one, you're gonna get your whole sign house chart. And right now on the screen, I will leave the directions so you know where to go, like what website to go and what to select so that you can have your whole sign house chart. The number two, you're going to identify what profection year you're in based on your age. Okay? Pretty self explanatory. Number three, note the sign on that house. So, again, let's say you're having a seventh house profection year. Look at your natal chart, see what sign is on the seventh house. That will let you know more information, right? Namely, for what comes next. Number four, note the sign's ruler, which is your time lord. Okay. And so I will leave information for this completely. Actually, I'm going to do you one even better. I'm going to put together a little packet that you can download with all of the information for perfections so that you can follow along and understand all of this. Okay. So look out for that. The link will be somewhere. Okay. Cool. So again, number four, note the sign's ruler, which is your time lord. Then number five, note where the planet falls in your chart. So the Time Lord, it's not only important to know what the Time Lord is doing, like right now in the sky, like I mentioned before, it's also going to be important to know where it is in your natal chart. So let's say you, again, have Leo as your seventh house and you have a seventh house perfection year. You're going to want to look at what the sun is doing in your natal chart. That will tell you more information about the theme of the year for you, which is seventh house matters. Okay. And then finally, you're going to want to keep track of the transits of that planet for that year, like I said before. All right. So we get our natal chart. We look to see what age we are and what corresponds to that age on the profections chart. Then we look at the house, the sign, the planetary ruler, which is our time lord. We look to see what the time lord is doing in our chart natally, and we look at the transits. All right. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. Okay. Now, how do you work with these? So essentially, what I would do is, if it were me, and I do this as a matter of fact, so I think about the theme for the year. So to use a very concrete example, I'll use myself. I'm not having a seventh house perfection year because I am not 30. I'm actually 43. And so, according to the profections chart, I'm actually having an eighth house profection year. Okay. So, when it comes to things like shared resources, debt, intimacy, that is the theme of the year for me from September to September. Okay. So, I know that majority of 2025, debt, shared resources, intimacy, those are going to be the themes. So, I think about what kind of goals I want to set as it relates to those themes. One of the biggest things for me is debt consolidation and getting rid of debt. This would be a great year to do that because that is the theme of the year based on my annual perfection. And then I could take a look and see what month, or I can take a look to see like what the theme is going to be for each month. So September was eighth house perfection year. October was ninth house. November was 10th house. December is 11th house. January is 12th house. Come January 2025, I know that the theme of the year is, let's say, like debt and debt consolidation. 12th house month of January signifies a time when I would really go within and I would really think about, okay, What do I think about debt? Why have I accumulated debt? Like, really examine from the inside out how I feel about debt, what I believe about debt. Basically, doing the inner work when it comes to debt so I can get rid of this debt during my eighth house perfection year. Right now, along with goal setting, I would also do the inner work that would facilitate any of this. So, if I have, certain hangups, insecurities, wounds that may not prevent me from achieving this goal, but may come up as I work to achieve this goal, I would figure out when would be the best time to work on these things based on the monthly profections, right? Like I just said, January is going to be a 12th house profection month for me. So during that time, it really behooves me to get quiet, meditate, journal, and really think about the inner work that I need to do in order to facilitate that goal. Right. So that's essentially how I would use profections in order to plan out my year. Now, I know it may sound a little complicated, so you may want to watch this video more than once. However, when you really get the hang of it, it's super simple. Plus, I will put a resource together, which you will find linked somewhere, that you can find the chart, house rulerships, all of that stuff. And again, all of this stuff is actually going to be in my free membership, which I am launching in January. All right. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. And that's essentially it. That's how I would use profections as one of the tools to plan and be intentional about 2025. All right, my loves. So that concludes this first video in my Preparing for 2025 series, all about living your best life in 2025 and being intentional about it. So next up, you'll want to watch this video here because I'm going to talk about the next technique that is just really comes in clutch when it comes to planning the year ahead. All right, I'll see you over there.